Hi, thank you for watching our video. This is Mark with TVT America in Branson, Missouri. I'm going to show you tonight how to use Dynamic Choice, our online gearbox configurator. We'll select a gearbox based on either type of gearbox, or we can also select by horsepower or by output torque and speed. And it's easy to use, but it seems to help to do a tutorial or to show people. And I've shown a lot of folks how to use this. I thought I'd do a video to make it easier. Anyway, to get to the tools, you go to the tools button. Double click that. We want to do dynamic choice, which allows you to select gear reducers by application or series and create spec sheets. It'll be a PDF file that you can email or print or include in your design. Once you get past that, you can go through our configuration manager and you can download 3D or 2D files and preview what they'll look like on our website. So let's get started with dynamic choice. Okay, we're going to select tonight by product. I have a customer, actually the first distributor salesperson that we ever had for TVT has a customer who's using a Motovario gearbox and wants to know if we can interchange. It's an NMRV050 15:1 with an IEC 80 B14 input, and it's mounted B3 horizontal, and it has a 25mm bore. The same customer is using a 30:1 of the same configuration, but with a 3/4 horse motor. So that's not going to be a problem, and since it's a nice easy application to do and to create a spec sheet, let's do it. So we're going to be selecting by product, not by application. The application would be customer wants to go 30 RPM, they need so many inch-pounds of torque, or they want to go, let's say 30 RPM again, but they want, in the past they've used a 1-horse motor and they want to create a spec sheet based on that. We can do that for any of our products. We have worm gears, bevel helical, parallel shaft helical, shaft mount helicals, shaft mount helical gear motors, and the R series bevel helical. So let's do it by product. Click on the button. It's really easy. Okay, now this is from a last selection, so let's restart. It clears the screen. At the top you have the stage that we're in: selection, report, or 3D model. So let's start with the selection. Okay, here's our different series of gearboxes. We show to the right, we always show a help screen. So H is a helical worm. Once you know my product a little better, it's easier, I admit that. KC is not shown, it's a round style gearbox. It's a worm gear, same gears as the X series, but it has a smooth round housing. We can put feet on it, flanges on it. It's very compact, very nice. Both the X and the K series do not have fins. I know a lot of the gearboxes of the older design, like the Motovario that we're replacing, have all these fins. They look like a heat sink. And heat sinks are great. They were awesome when the synthetic lubricants weren't that good. You can dissipate the heat generated from friction. The bad part is when those fins get covered in dirt or dust, they become less and less efficient. Just like anything with a radiator, you need to clean the bugs out. Well, ours don't have any fins, so they don't have that problem. Anyway, so we have the H series, the KC series, which is the worm gear, the P series, which is you can see to the right is the parallel shaft mount. People call it a torque arm style gearbox, but we also make it with a motorized input, which is pretty awesome. The R series is our bevel helical. The T series is the R series is a bevel gear. The T series is our bevel helical. Next is our universal worm gear, and the Z series, which is parallel helical. This is alphabetical. So let's go to the X series, because that's the one that's going to replace the NMRV Motovario. Now, system of measurement. It's a metric gearbox, as is the Motovario, but we're going to use imperial information. So we're going to have inch pounds, we're going to have horsepower, Our dimensions are going to be in inches, and a lot of the U.S. and Canadian market, less to the Canadians, but the U.S. market really likes the inches, inch pounds, horsepower, things like that, instead of kilowatts, millimeters, newton meters, and so on. So, but you can choose. Input type, for this X series, we can have a shaft input, which is just what it sounds like, a coupling for an electric motor, or we can do a gear motor. And since we know what the motors are, we're going to design it as a gear motor. Now, it's not a gear motor in the type that some have, where the motor and the gearbox are married together for life. Our gear motors, we can do an IECC face, and that means that if you'd like to replace a motor, or you need to replace a gearbox or the seal, it's easy to take apart and put back together with common parts that we stock. So we're just going gear motor. Frequency 50 hertz is for Europe, 60 hertz is for the North American market. So let's go 60 hertz. Motor pulls: 2 pole, 4 pole, 6 pole. So 3600 RPM input, 1800 RPM input, 1200 RPM input at synchronous speed. And of course, motors don't go that because of slip, but let's go with 4 pole, which is the standard. That's what they're using. The size, we know it's an NMRV050, so we're going to go to an X50, which is the same 50 millimeter center distance. For ratio, the first one we're going to do is the 15:1 that has a 1 horse motor, so we're going to select 15. If you see on the right, it shows all the different ratios that are standard, the output speeds, the output torque, relative efficiencies of those different gearboxes, and then input power, which can't possibly be right. It's very high, but I think we run into, that's the mechanical horsepower capabilities. So motor coupling, in this case, I said it was an 80 B14 with that 1 horsepower. So we're going to go service factor 1.5. We go to the next screen. Okay, and this is a little interesting box. So size, input speed, output torque, service factor, ratio, input power, and IEC frame. The next thing, click here to show similar products. So, magic of computers, we show the K series, which is a round gearbox. Same gears as this one, so the ratings are exactly the same for the given size, but it has a different housing. We show the shaft mounted P series. See, it's our smallest one. It's still pretty powerful. And this gearbox is very small. It's 4.2 service factor. We have our T series, which is a bevel helical. The larger X series, we want to increase our service factor to 2.7. And there's Z series, which is parallel helical. So we're just going to stick with our 50 because that's what we need for the interchange. We want it to directly replace the Motovario. We're going to go with the input version C. But what is F? What is C? Take a look. We have little help sheets that are on the right side, and they explain all these little things that we're asking you for. So for the X series, the F means flange input, or like some call a flower pot, because it kind of looks like a flower pot. And there's a gear coupling inside here. It's got a steel gear and another steel gear on the motor, and then a nylon sleeve. It's really awesome as far as getting the motor on and off. It's not going to rust over, 10 years from now. The motor's not going to be married to the gearbox. And also the seal, because it's just a shaft coming out of here. It's very, relatively small in diameter. Has a smaller seal, and small seals turning at motor speeds have a slower surface speed, which means they last longer and they'll leak less, or less likely to leak. With that said, they add length and they add a little bit of cost. You figure 5%, 6%, something like that extra cost for this more extravagant coupling type. And then you have the length. The close couple, or C style, is what you see here, and the motor is going to go into the gearbox in a hollow keyed quill, and it's very compact and it's less expensive and very popular. This is probably, you probably sell 10 of these to every one of those for that reason. Some people don't even think about it. It's just what they've always used. So they don't even try the other. But this, if you ever have to take a motor apart, this is a great way to do it. Okay, also we're showing on this sheet the torque limiter. We have an internal torque limiter. This would be LS for left hand, LD for right hand. These are fantastic and they deserve a video all to themselves, and so I'll do a different video on that. But there's a torque limiter inside the gearbox, and it has an adjustment nut here and spring set there, and there's no friction discs to wear out. So it's a pretty amazing product. It costs about 50% the cost of the gearbox. So if you bought a gearbox for $100, it's now going to be $150, but it's worth it. Here's the output types. H means hollow, S means single on the left side, SD means single on the right side, DD means double. You have one on each side. And they're showing his on the H, which is the helical worm, so they're showing the equivalent. It's the same. So we'll go back to our product selection, and we can leave that open, I guess. It's a PDF. You can print it should you like. Anyway, so input version, in this case, let's go to C, because that's what the customer has. There's our torque limiter. We're not going to select that. Output shaft, we have hollow, the single, and the double. Let's go to hollow. Next question is output shaft diameter, 24 millimeter or 25. The standard for Motovario NMRV, unless indicated, is 25 millimeter in the 50 size. Our standard is also 25 millimeter. Some manufacturers that we also replace, such as City, Chiaravalli, Bonfiglioli, STM, on and on. Many Italian gearboxes of the square style will have different standard bores, so it would be 24, 25. For the US market, you'll also see 1-inch bores, and we don't have this on our configurator as yet, but 1 inch would be the standard, which is 25.4, very similar to this one. But since it's a metric, we're going to go with 25 mil. Fixing. As my wife would say, I'm fixing to. No. In this case, we can have a universal mount, which is what it is. It's got, we've mounted from the gear case, an output flange, or a torque arm. A torque arm would be where you have a shaft mount reducer with the torque arm. In this application, it's actually the customer's using a torque arm, so we're going to include the torque arm in our selection. I'm going to click that. Torque arm position on the S side, which is left, or the D side, which is right. If you want to see that, click on this. And presto magic, from Branson to wherever you are in the world, we send you this explanation. So, torque arm, here we are, all the different positions that it's possible. It has bolts that are here, and you can move it to the left or the right side, and you can rotate it in all these different positions. Actually, could go over here too. It's not a problem, unless you run into the motor. Here's flanges. We make, I think, 3 standard flanges for this gearbox. Double flanges. Yes, people buy them. It's all kinds of applications. It's a very modular product. It's like putting Legos together. Every gearbox should be made like the X or the K. It's just great, high quality product. I don't know why people still make gearboxes like they do, but a lot of the gearboxes that we compete with were designed in the 1960s, and this was designed just a handful of years ago, really. So anyway, so there's the torque arm positions. Let's go back to what we're doing. All right, torque arm position, we're going to say it's on the S side. And the position for the mounting, it's horizontal, which is B3. Again, we have the guide. We'll go through that and show you. And if you're not familiar with European mounts, you don't know that B3 is horizontal, B8 is worm under, B6 is vertical with the worm on the left, B7 is vertical with the worm on the right. B5 is what we call a J mount in the US. Like the letter, doesn't look like the letter J, but if it was backwards. And then V6, which is shaft down. We also have the SEA, which is a double extended worm shaft. I think we do one for a fire monitor for tugboats. It controls the nozzle for directing the water. It's got a gearbox. And motor goes here, and on this side they have a hand wheel attachment that they can put on, so if the motor was to fail or they didn't have electricity, they could crank this side. That's an SEA. So back to this, mounting position is B3 in this case. Alright, here's our part number, XC5015 H25B3. X series, close coupled, size 50, 15 ratio, output 25, pretty easy. Alright, motor flange, I said it was a B14, an 80 B14. If there's any question, here's the documentation. Duty is S1, it's continuous duty. Degree of protection. This is ingress protection. We don't have a documentation screen here, but if you want to know about ingress protection, go in this little search box and type IP and search, and it will bring you a complete page that I wrote for ingress. Well, it'll do a search, so let's show you. All right, right here it is. I did this because I didn't know what IP meant when I first started working with Italian gearboxes and motors. So I made this. Understanding IP protection. So this is all the details. So we're selecting 5.5 tonight. So protection against water projected by a nozzle in any direction. So the second number is water and the first number is dust. So protection from ingress of dust, no harmful deposits. The next stage up would be 66, but you can also do 5.6. So this would be for sea waves. So we've already got from a power washer. This would be from having it immersed underwater on occasion. And then IP 5.7 or 6.7 is an underwater. So which makes them, the motor can't have a fan or anything. It's going to be something for your jacuzzi tub, I guess. But anyway, that's ingress protection. So let's go back here. Go back to what we're doing. Okay, degree of protection, IP55, installation class. F and H, I will do a page for that. F is a standard, I think it's 165 degrees Celsius internal temperature, which is hot. And H is extreme temperature. However, if you're going to have a class H insulation, all of our wire in our motors is class H, but the insulation that we use for the rest of the motor is class F. So a standard motor is class F from us. But if you need a high temperature application, please call me, email me, tell me what you're doing. If you've got a pasta drying, you've got a lot of experience with that. If you've got a bakery, you've got a lot of experience with that. I mean, if it's good pasta, if it's good bakery, if it's good cheese, if it's a well-made car, if it's a theme park ride, you're probably riding a TVT product. The best people, the best machines in the world. But you gotta call me, because if you are putting our motor on some high heat bakery and you're using a standard insulation and the motor only lasts 6 months or a year, I didn't know that. So you gotta tell me. So that's the type of thing that you want to get a hold of us in our engineering department. So to get a hold of me, it'd be info@TVT America or mark@tvtamerica.com, and I can help you with your engineering questions. If I don't know, I've got a complete staff. I've got electrical engineers, I've got mechanical engineers, I've got people with years and years of experience in this industry, and we have done every imaginable piece of equipment. So just let me know. We're happy to help. The last question is terminal box position. This makes no sense. A, B, C, and D, right? What does that mean? So let's look at the documentation. Aha. A, terminal box is on the bottom. B, right. C, on top. D, to the left. This customer sent me a picture, or my distributor sent me a picture of what the customer wanted. It was D. So we're going to call it out as a D. Piece of cake. All right, we're done. So we have our part number. Our data sheet is ready to download. This is an Adobe PDF document. If you don't have Adobe PDF reader, it's free. It's at adobe.com. It's if you don't have an Adobe PDF reader, I would guess that you're living in a cave someplace, because it's pretty much a standard piece of software that everybody has. So it's not something you have to download. Neither is the rest of my configurator. It's an online based. You notice it's a window inside, so we can have our search engine behind it, do all the hard work. So we can click on that. Presto magic, it's downloaded down to your screen. Now let's view it. Okay, so this is what the PDF looks like. Has the input data, what we told we wanted. Here's our part number, excuse me. All the details. Here's our output radial and axial loads, super awesome. Our standard is ball bearings, but we also offer tapered roller bearings. We use Timken on those, and we get a lot of output radial load. So if you have a high radial load application, keep that in mind. Look at the numbers. Better than 3 times the radial load. That doesn't mean longer life in a standard application, it just means more radial load. So if you need radial load, we got it. And here's the details of the motor. The standard for the European is a 230/450. Ours is going to be 208, 230, 460, 60 hertz. It's going to be a 9-lead motor that we make in Italy specifically for the US market. And it's UL listed, CSA, CE. Anyway, that's what we stock, that's what we sell. It's made by MT. And we don't do Chinese motors, we do only Italian products. So I guess that makes us unique these days. So here's the dimensions. This is in inches again. Okay. Now again, we have CAD files, 3D CAD. We have a software just like this selection software. You can go through and download your CAD files. This is our torque arm, the position we selected. Here's the output dust cover. Or I'm sorry, this is the input flange, the dimensions of it. This is our mounting positions. Below it is the lubrication quantities in oil, or in quarts. And it says we're using long life synthetic oil, ISO VG320. Right now we're using Shell Tybella S320, pure synthetic. It is fantastic. Awesome lubrication, 20,000 hours, wide temperature range. We don't have the thermal problems. We don't need heat sinks. Our gearboxes don't look like something, some kind of a porcupine with all kinds of fins. It's not a fish. It's nice, smooth, clean gearbox. Dust doesn't collect on it. Anyway, it shows on the worm orientation how it's threaded. So, you know, for turning to the right, the output's going to turn towards you. See? Anyway, here's the weights. Here's the gearbox. Here's the weights of the electric motor in pounds. So if you had to estimate for shipping, it's going to be, let's see, add those two together, 30.4 pounds of Italian-made, American-loved awesomeness. Anyway, there it is. We've done it. If you would like help doing this and you can't figure it out, call us. I'll help you, or one of my application engineering people will help you. Someone in the sales department can help you, walk you through the product selection. You can, you know, print, save, whatever you want to do with this. It's just, I like to follow this up with when I quote a gearbox to somebody, especially in this case where, you know, they're concerned it's a Motovario and they think that it's something special and nothing can replace it. And it's like, no, this is going to replace it perfectly and give you some improvements actually. So anyway, thanks for your time, and give us a call.